I'd now like to introduce April Dobson, Head of Relationship Centred Care at Hallmark Care Homes. April will be talking to us today about how you can institute practical changes that favour relational care and the Montessori approach.
Thank you, Verity, and thank you, Jenny. That was wonderful. I'm going to attempt to share my screen, so let's have a go at that and just see how we go with that one. So let's just see if we can find the PowerPoint. So I don't think this is going to work, I'm afraid. Can anybody see a PowerPoint? Verity, can you see that?
No, I'm afraid not, sorry.
No, don't worry, that's absolutely fine. I will just talk through some things. So thank you so much, Jenny. I'm very privileged to be here today. I really, really am, because I know the hard work that has actually gone into everything that you've done. And you know, I'm very proud to be associated in a tiny, small way. I was delighted to be invited to speak at this occasion. So having so much information just in one book is really quite incredible, and I think what Jenny's done is made things so accessible for all of us. And the real beauty for me about this book is that actually Jenny's captured really real experiences at the heart of her writing. It isn't just theoretical, it's actually practical as well. And, you know, the concept of a relational model of care involves making connections and building relationships based on trust and respect. And Hallmark Care Home's relationship-centred care approach, of course, sits wonderfully in harmony with that concept. And I just wanted to take just a few minutes to explain what that means to us at Hallmark Care Homes. And Jenny, I'm going to quote your words back to you from a previous book. So you said, when older people and carers come together in supportive relationships in a safe environment, which is designed to favour the advantages of communal life and still provide privacy and individuality, the benefits to society cannot be overestimated. As you said earlier, humans are born to be independent and flourish through their relationships with others. And that's what Hallmark's relationship-centred care approach is about. To take this just one step further and take this relational model a step further, we started a journey a few years ago within the organisation to implement the Montessori approach for dementia care. So many of you may have heard of the approach for children. So, you know, there are Montessori nurseries, and I think that's how the approach is mainly known. So Dr. Maria Montessori is from Italy, and her philosophy and mission was to enable individuals to be as independent as possible, to enable them to have a meaningful place in their community, to retain that high self-esteem and have a chance to make meaningful contributions to their community. And I think that's what we all want in our lives, in actual fact. And, you know, for people living with dementia, this approach has been shown to help reduce the anxiety and frustration that some people living with dementia may feel. So preparing the environment to make it enabling as possible for each individual is absolutely key to the approach. And I know that Richard will talk a little bit more about the environment later on in his talk. But for example, what I mean is about using cues and clues and prompts in the environment, things like good signage to help people find their way, and using polite invitation to prompt engagement in activities. And at this point, I should say a huge thank you to Cara and Jim at Milford Care Homes, who were really welcoming when we first went to see how they'd implemented this approach. And of course, to Lynn Fair and Sally Dando, who together are leading on this in the UK. And at the heart of this approach, it's no surprise, it's absolutely crucial to understand and know the individual person, to help us ensure that any opportunities that we that we create are really meaningful to that person and based on skills and the strengths that people have and their interests. And, you know, we found that that can create an environment that really enables relationships to flourish. So we know that everything in the environment should provide purpose, pleasure, and even fun. The physical environment itself also plays an important part in enablement and independence, particularly for people living with dementias. And as we develop new homes, our interior design team have really taken on board some small changes that can make such a huge difference to people. So, you know, a sense of belonging and the sense of purpose can be created by simply inviting people to help with the day-to-day life of the community within a care home, because that's what it is. And being involved in that really, really creates that sense of community and that sense of belonging, and of course a sense of purpose as well. And people have had amazing, amazing lives. We should never forget that. It doesn't matter how old people are. You know, people have achieved so much in their lives and have a lot to teach us. So wherever possible, they should be enabled to be able to share their experiences. And I saw a wonderful example of this where somebody within one of our care homes had created for a gentleman who had always worked with his hands, and he was a very skilled carpenter during his life. And they'd created a memory box that, to all intents and purposes, and for us from outside looking at it, looked like a heap of old rusty tools. But this gentleman took absolute delight and pleasure in explaining to us what each one was and what it was used for. And of course, younger team members had never seen items like this before. And so for him, that was a real sense of achievement, and a sense of value as well, being able to give something back to people. So Jenny, I'd just like to end by saying thank you for the book. It has been an absolute privilege and a pleasure to work alongside you and to support you with in very small ways, but the ways that we've been able to do that. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope that just gives people a tiny little flavour of actually how some of the things that Jenny talks about can be put into practice. So thank you. And that's me.